NutriCast.
Discomfort is temporary. Growth is permanent. And when you push through that fear and get to that next little milestone or that next small, tiny win, you end up creating a momentum that keeps you going through it. And then sometimes you get stuck and you got to unstick, and you have to have a conversation with yourself. And you pull up your big girl panties and you keep going, and you just don't let fear rule you.
Welcome to Think Business with Tyler, sharing our methods and strategies for success. Join in on our conversations with business owners as we highlight their triumphs and detail how they overcame the challenges they faced while continuing to grow and scale their business. It's time to think life, think success, and think business with your host, Tyler Martin.
Welcome back to another episode of Think Business with Tyler. I'm your host, Tyler Martin. Today, we're diving into the incredible journey of Diane Strand, an entrepreneur and best-selling author who's turned her passion into multiple successful ventures. Diane shares how she transitioned from being hands-on in her small business to managing a thriving team of 16 and the importance of determining your own hourly rate. We'll also uncover how she and her husband balance their roles as business partners and spouses and her say yes philosophy that led to extraordinary growth opportunities. Plus, Diane opens up about her upcoming book, Creativepreneur, and her unique approach to overcoming fear in business. Let's jump in and get inspired. Hey, Diane, welcome to the Think Business with Tyler podcast show. How's it going today?
It's going great. Thanks for having me, Tyler.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Hey, I'd love to start out the show just learning a little bit about you. Let's start with, what do you do professionally?
Well, professionally, I have a long title. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm a best-selling author. I'm a speaker, and I'm a nonprofit founder. But I always like to say that I make dreams come true, and I provide a little hope by helping one person every day.
Well, that's cool. How do you help someone every day? I'm curious.
Well, I work with a population of special needs as well as creatives that want to break into the industry. So I help find pathways to make that happen for them.
That is very cool. That's awesome. Hey, now you shared a little bit there about some of your interests, but what about on a personal side? Anything you can share about yourself personally?
Well, sure. I mean, I work in the entertainment industry. I work in video. I love to market and communicate and help others market and communicate and do that. I have a long journey. And as Steve Jobs himself has said, you can't connect your dots looking forward. You have to look back. And, when I look back, my first dot really shows up in second grade. I was diagnosed dyslexic. I was a struggling reader. But I really wanted to play Betsy Ross in the school play. And I had people telling me that I couldn't do that because I couldn't read. And I was just like, hey, watch me, and I taught myself how to read. And I got the part of Betsy Ross in the school play. And then it was also the same year that they had a candy selling contest. And whoever sold the most candy would win a black and white 19-inch TV. And I really wanted that for my room. And I went out and I sold the most candy. This was, first graders through sixth graders, and me, the little second grader. I sold the most candy, and the school enlisted lots of help, but made it happen. And I got the TV, and I still work in TV today. And my tenacity and my go-getter thing kind of has just evolved into where I am. And I can't see where I would be doing anything different. Now, I do have a full entertainment career working in the industry on shows like General Hospital and Friends and Veronica's Closet. But now that I am a nonprofit founder and an entrepreneur, I pride myself in giving back and being able to help those who have barriers and challenges break those down, whether it's breaking into an industry like the entertainment industry, which has its own barriers and challenges, or you are somebody with special needs and you need to have someone help you with those barriers and challenges and create ways and tools for them to work through them. So that's a little bit about me and how I got to where I am.
Does cash flow have you down? Profit not where you think it should be? Maybe it's the long hours. Let's meet to see if I can help. I bridge driving the financial performance of your business to hit growth and success targets. Book a complimentary meeting at meetforgrowth.com to get started now. Once again, that's meetforgrowth.com. I look forward to talking with you. And thanks for listening to the show.
So that's a little bit about me and how I got to where I am.
Yeah, very cool. Can you share your story? Like, sounds like you have a creative side. It sounds like you have a passion for helping people. Sounds like you're very ambitious at a very young age. How did that lead into being an entrepreneur? Where did you turn this into like, hey, I could actually make a living doing this?
Well, I don't know that I ever thought I could make a living doing this. Luckily, I can, and it did. I don't, my entrepreneurial spirit definitely popped out very early, whether it was running the lemonade stand in my neighborhood to my first my expose into the world of entrepreneurship was my idea as a struggling actor in the entertainment industry when I was first trying to break in, was I was going to produce a bunch of plays and put all my friends, all my unemployed actor friends up on stage, and that's how we would get jobs. And that's how I found my way behind the scenes, because as I started producing all these plays and having to find money and pull it all together, all of a sudden I enjoyed that more. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to be back here writing, directing, producing. I don't need to be on stage. So that's where it started to shift and change for me a little bit. But when I really set out to be an entrepreneur, I just decided that you need to show up, you need to say yes. And my husband, I came home after working in reality television. It was a 15, 16-hour day. I had missed bedtime and nap time with my son and dinner and all of the stuff. And he looked at me and goes, well, what if we quit our jobs and, sold our house and became entrepreneurs? And it literally took me about 35 seconds to go, okay, yes, let's do that. And that's how it all started.
Wow. And what was it like, that initial journey? So did you guys start this business together, or did you each have your own ventures that you decided to do?
No, we did this together. He's my partner
Wow.
in life and business. And we have JDS Video and Media Productions, which is a 21-year production company. We launched JDS Actor Studio, which is a DBA off of the main corporation. And we did that 15 years ago. We've launched over 100 careers into the entertainment industry, from actors to directors to producers, production companies. And then 10 years ago, we founded a nonprofit that now offers all the different classes and areas of visual performing and digital arts. And we do that as career pathways, working with workforce development, mainstream, and special needs. And we now help others find their way into working their careers and passions.
Any tips or thoughts that you could share with us in terms of going into business with a spouse? Is there any words of wisdom, anything you can take from that?
We separate pretty well. You definitely, when we're at work, we're at work. And we work we met at work. So it was one of those things where it's like we worked together really well, back in the day. So that kind of helped. But when we're at work, we're at work. And then, we're husband and wife when we're home with the kids and, do all that. I mean, that crosses over sometimes, but,
Sure.
Keeping it separate really helps. We have our times that we talk about business at home, especially we usually try and meet in the morning. Sometimes it's over the bathroom sink, but, we definitely have that conversation of what's on your schedule today, what's on mine, how are we going to do this? What do we need to do to support each other or vent or whatever we need to do? So we take that time to do that. And then the rest of the time when we're at home, it's family time. And,
Yeah.
we try and leave the rest, although I'm a workaholic, so it's kind of hard to do.
It's funny because, over my career, I've seen so many husband and wife businesses, and it's a very emotional topic a lot of times. Sometimes it works just perfectly, like you're talking about. And then other times you'll hear, well, she does this and he does this, and we just never get into each other's business. And then other times it's even worse than that, where it's like, oh my God, I could never work with my spouse. I
Right.
don't even want to, home is enough and that's all I need. So it's interesting because you get just such a wide range of different opinions. And it's cool that you guys have made it work, because I think that's a pretty cool extension of your relationship.
It is. I mean, we've been together 34 years at this point. So, we
Yeah.
know each other pretty well. We definitely are best friends, and that helps, and then all the rest is icing on the cake.
Yeah, very cool. So take me back. You guys, so hearing your story here, sounds like when you started JDS, you kind of went all in. I mean, you're like, hey, let's do this. Let's start our business. What were those first years like getting your first clients, managing cash, potentially hiring people? What did that look like if you could kind of go back and kind of rethink that?
Scary. But bringing me back to those moments, there were definitely, it was feast to famine.
Yeah.
We went all in. We sold our house. We quit fat 6-figure jobs in the entertainment Hollywood industry and, just jumped in with both feet. I had a little stint in corporate video between working a Barbra Streisand concert and going back into Big Brother and Survivor. I was about 11 months working for Amgen Pharmaceuticals, and it made such a difference making a video that mattered, where all of a sudden these were people who were, this medicine had saved their life from cancer. So it really, it was a passion. And I truly believe that as an entrepreneur, if you have passion, you can turn it into purpose and it turns into profits. So that's kind of how you roll. There were definitely scary days, where I thought I was going to have to dust off that resume or try and see what else was out there, but it never came to that. The next job, I learned how to stop working in the business as much as working on the business. And that made a difference because then we would go from job and then it would end and, oh, I got to go find the next job. But when I started working on the business, we had the next couple jobs lined up. They could overlap and I didn't have to panic that we were doing 4 videos at the same time. And how do we manage that? It became easier to put the scheduling in place and make that happen. And my philosophy in business is you show up, you say yes, you get outside your comfort zone, and magic happens.
When you say yes, like what does that mean to you? Does that mean like, man, if someone comes to you with something crazy, you're going to make it work? Or like, what's your definition of that say yes?
Somewhat, yes. Just like
Okay.
when, my husband said to me, what if we quit our jobs and sold our house and became entrepreneurs? And I went, yeah, let's do that. And then the next day followed through on that. And I put in my notice, he did, and we did it. That's how you build trust in yourself is you
Yeah.
say you're going to do something, you follow through with it, and you get to put a coin in your own confidence bank. And, that was a big part of getting started and doing that was trusting ourselves and saying yes really means, looking at the opportunities. It doesn't mean say yes to jump off a bridge or anything
Sure.
crazy in that sense. That's, but you got to put fear in the back seat. You have to take the meeting that you don't know what's going to come out of it. And that's what turned my nonprofit into a 7-figure nonprofit was saying yes to somebody I met at a chamber event who said, I have an idea I think you might be able to help me with. Where now I'm thinking, oh, they want something from me, right?
Right.
But I'd love to tell you more about it. Will you do coffee with me? Okay. Yes, I had the coffee. And then it was, well, I want you to meet this individual. He has special needs. He loves audio. And if he could just come work at your place, you don't have to pay him anything, and he'll do anything you want. I'm like, well, I have a studio, but I'm not even there full time. I really more work. But I said, okay, yes, I'll meet him. And then I met him and he was fantastic. And so I said, okay, fine, we'll try. Yes, let's have him here. And within a couple of months, not only did it make everything shift, I started coming into the studio. So now I'm even more working on my business and getting out of my house and behind that desk and into a different desk. And then all of a sudden we were here and opportunities started happening because people would show up because now all of a sudden we're open during the day when we never were. And then he started learning audio and I'm like, wow, he just needs to learn with a hands-on. And then I was like, well, maybe we write a program and we work with that. And then I got vendored through Inland Regional. And now I have 30 special needs individuals that I'm teaching. That wasn't even an opportunity or something if I hadn't just said yes, I'll have coffee with you, which I thought at that time it's like, oh, they want a free video, right? That's what everyone
Right.
wants from me is a free video. But at the same time, I said yes. I still said yes till I got to the point. It doesn't mean you say yes to everything. I've had to say
Sure.
no. You can't, there's only 24 hours in a day and all of those things. But why are you saying no? Are you saying no because now fear has jumped in there? It gave you a logical reason to say no, but that's fear. So my fear was they wanted something for free and I was going to have to eventually say no. But I said yes anyways, and nobody wanted anything from me. And I ended up growing my business tenfold because I said yes.
Yeah. Gosh, I love that the way you articulate it. It's you don't necessarily have a jump first mentality. So I'm not sure if that's the right language, but you definitely are willing to get into the pit and then kind of you'll figure it out type of mentality. And I think that it's interesting when you having the privilege of talking with so many entrepreneurs. It's interesting. You get so many different ways people approach success. And, some are so methodical and they want to get every single detail down. And then others I lean a little bit your way. I'm like, I'll jump and into the pit. I'll try to figure it out. And usually I can figure it out, or usually, it kind of works out and it opens doors that you might not have opened if you wanted every little detail in advance.
Absolutely. Well, I have a philosophy. It's called pack your own parachute. It goes back to that trust thing. I pack my own parachute. So I do jump because I trust that it's going to open and it's going to be there. And I'm going to be there for me. I keep feeding the confidence to myself. And that doesn't mean that, I don't ever lose track,
Sure.
but I have ways when I go off track, you got to get back to gratefulness. You have to, start back at the beginning and the basics. And, everybody's success looks different. My success and your success are not the same. And you can't compare someone's chapter 1 to someone's chapter 21. We're all in different places and we all want different things. But I think when you start providing the value to others, all of a sudden it turns around and you get more than you've ever given. But when you lead with that kind of value mentality and relationship mentality, everybody's a winner.
If you're a business owner feeling stuck in your business, overwhelmed, responsible for everything that happens, and working long hours, Tyler helps his clients develop processes, hire high-performing team members, and better understand their financial metrics and numbers to allow for a more predictable, less hands-on business. To schedule a free, no-pressure consultation, head to thinktyler.com and click the meeting button. Tyler would love to see if he can help you work on your business, not in your business. Schedule a consultation today at thinktyler.com. Think life, think success, think business.
Life is hard, but finding a really great podcast makes the days go by so much easier. Hi, my name is Blue Telusma. I'm a writer, an emotional intelligence coach, and the host of Humanize with Blue Telusma, a podcast where we believe that when you humanize everyone in the room, a great conversation is almost guaranteed. Join us every week here on Electricast as me and my guest co-hosts unpack big topics and interview even bigger personalities with a sense of humor and a dash of mischief. If you're looking for a new best friend in your head, we've got you covered. Electricast.
But when you lead with that kind of value mentality and relationship mentality, everybody's a winner.
Yeah, I like that line, pack your own parachute. I've never heard that before. That's a good one. So one thing you mentioned a little earlier in the conversation, you said, hey, I got to a point where I wasn't in the business as much as working on the business. Can you talk about a little bit, like, what does that look like when you're working on the business? Is there anything specifically comes to mind that you worked on and you think you improved that helped you part of scaling and growing your business?
Sure. Well, we were a small mom and pop. It was myself and my husband in the beginning. So, from getting the client to putting the budgets together, writing the script, and then we'd be out on production and then he's editing it and I'm making the graphics and we're doing all that, getting caught, just trying to spin that wheel and work on that hamster wheel, but yet trying to focus on, well, the job ended. Now I need to, go get a new client. So I started stepping out and realizing that as I grew a team and I grew those that could support me, that's the best thing that you can do as an entrepreneur, as a business person, is figure out what your hourly rate is and then what that should be spent on and how you do that. And then finding that I was doing graphic design, sure, now it's way over my head because I haven't done it in several years, but I used to do all the graphic design and I was designing all that stuff. But when I stepped out of it and I started more creative directing and having somebody else be the button pusher, the jobs got better and, the productivity got better. And then I could step away from it and go do something else while somebody created that vision that I had. And learning how to be the visionary and the leader in that stopped me from having to be the button pusher. And, we could step into doing more for the business that then now I employ 16 people. And that does more for my community and economic development and all of those things. That's why I said the more you give, the more you end up getting in return.
Yeah, very cool. Could you, and I don't want to turn this too mathematical, but I'm just curious. You mentioned the part about hourly rate, once you know your rate is, and then figuring out where it goes. Could you talk about that a little bit more? What do you mean exactly in terms of how you thought that through?
Well, I don't know that I was able in the beginning to put words to it
Sure.
when it started to transition, but I had to sit and think about if I was to go get a job, right? And somebody was to hire me to be their executive director or their video producer, what is that worth? And then what would I be doing? Because there would have to be other things around that. So if I'm doing that, I'm not also the graphic designer. I'm not also this. So that means that you have to put, where is your superpower? What are your skills and what are you best at and enjoy the most? Go with that and work that and then build your team around you. And it didn't, even when we were still a mom and pop shop, I found ways to then start building my team around me. I invented the word permalancer because they were freelancers, but they worked for me and they were loyal, but I didn't have to pay them Monday through Friday every single day. It was project and gig based and working that way. So, building the team, it freed me up. So I could go get that next client and then I could sit down with them and I could do the concept development and then pass that vision on to somebody else to then have it come back to me developed. And I didn't have to get into the developing of all of that. And that changed everything.
Very cool. So you talk about being a mom and pop, and now you're at 16 employees, which is a huge accomplishment. I mean, that really does help your community, and you're contributing to the economy. I mean, by hiring people, it's really super cool. So what do you find are the biggest challenges now that you're more established? You have a lot of moving parts. What do you feel are like the biggest? Have the challenges changed from when you were a mom and pop, and what are they now?
Well, I find I manage people now, so that's definitely, I don't, I still manage some projects, but in that sense, I manage more people. So that's shifted a little bit. And that's a challenge in and of itself. It's not one of my favorite things to do. That was one of the reasons that I even left Hollywood, because I was managing too many people and they were giving me headaches. So, that was kind of part of it, but it is different. I've learned nobody loves your business like you love your business. Some of the biggest challenges come with managing the people, because right when you feel like you got them trained and on board, they're up and gone and you got to start over. There's a point where you feel like you're not being able to always do what it is you want to do. I've locked myself into a job more so than this free spirit entrepreneur that I used to be, so those are some challenges, but yet at the same time, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I guess I worry about what's going on with maybe some of the people, but it's nice not to have to worry where the next meal is coming from too.
Yeah, I love your transparency. It's interesting because people, they're unpredictable. And as much as we try as leaders, managers, owners to develop and retain and grow, they're still people, and people change, and their interests change. So it's hard, and it is unpredictable. And as a business owner, it can weigh on you at times. At times feels great, and at times it can feel kind of like this sucks.
I've had those sucky moments, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
There are challenges. It's hard. There are days that you scream in your pillow, but you got to get back up and you tell yourself you can do this and you've got this, and get back to gratitude. And, it doesn't, being here last night till 9 p.m. was a lot of hard work. I had to get payroll out. I had to do this and that before I could end my day. But then I also know that, I get to go to Cancun for 2 weeks, and pick that out. I can be home on my daughter's last day of school or attend this event because I get to make my own schedule. So there are trade-offs everywhere you go.
Right. No, that's awesome. I appreciate your transparency. I want to shift gears. I want to talk about your book, Creativepreneur. Now, I believe it hasn't released yet. Is that correct?
Correct. It is not out.
When are you projecting a release date?
Oh, well, I have to finish it. I'm probably at like the 95%. It goes back to my editor after I get back through this last pass. So I am hopeful that we'll be in pre-sales by fall, and then it'll come out the first of the year is most likely now when it's going to come out. So there's been some things that have gotten in the way, unfortunately, but this is actually my third book coming out. So I'm very familiar. And I know some of it, it's the same thing. It's that fear. This is a very different book for me. The first time I wrote a podcast turned into a chapter that went into a big book. And then the second one, we based it off of a class, and I wrote that with my husband. So this is the book on my own. So it's my own fear sometimes getting in the way. And I have to it's like, just pick it up and read it. But I'm like, oh, I'll do that later because it's easier for me to do payroll than it is for me to sit down and write my book because I got that one down, right? And thinking about how to be vulnerable and write those out. And that's what the book is about. It's really about business vulnerability. And, it's for creatives who are looking to launch, and it's for businesses who need a little bit more creative to make, them leverage, scale, and be able to market. So that's what the book kind of really does through 21 years of entrepreneurship.
I love it. Hey, let's, because you brought it up a few times, and I think it's so common for us as business owners to have fear and allow it to affect us getting things done. Any words of wisdom around there? I mean, it's great that you're experiencing the same thing that most of us face. Well, how do you get beyond those moments of fear and get over to the other side?
Well, I believe that, you can't do things fearless. You have to just fear less. And, I have an analogy, and I use a car for that, which is if I'm in the driver's seat, I've got control of the wheel, I've got control of the radio. I put fear in the back seat and I tell it, I've got this. If you see me driving off a cliff, scream. Otherwise, I've got the road. You sit in the back seat and go for the ride. Fear pops up in weird ways. And I sometimes know when it is controlling me because I keep wanting to go back to something and then I find myself inching away from it. And that's usually some sort of fear. I might not have my finger on it yet, but you got to push through it. Discomfort is temporary. Growth is permanent. And when you push through that fear and get to that next little milestone or that next small, tiny win, you end up creating a momentum that keeps you going through it. And then sometimes you get stuck and you got to unstick, and you have to have a conversation with yourself. And you pull up your big girl panties and you keep going, and you just don't let fear rule you. And, if it's telling you to wait or maybe next week or we'll get back to that, it can sound like logic, but it really is fear because start before you're ready. My website is out of date every other day. It doesn't take a website to make a business. It doesn't take having the right social media. I mean, all those things are great and they help and you need the tools in your toolbox, of course. But if fear is what's in front, none of those things will ever happen. You just have to go for it. You have to, that's that show up and say yes and just do it. Get out from behind your desk, put yourself in uncomfortable places and get better with it. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Such a powerful phrase. Discomfort is temporary. Growth is permanent. That should be the title of the show. That's awesome. Hey, before we wrap up, I want to talk about one more thing. So what would be your words of wisdom for entrepreneurs that may be struggling? They're kind of either at a plateau or they're struggling. Any words of wisdom that you can share maybe from, you're managing 3 different entities. I don't even know how between you and your partner you even manage to do that. That sounds insane. But any words of wisdom?
Well, I don't want to be the broken record, but it really is the say yes and show up and, do the things that are hard. It does. It's a lot of work being an entrepreneur, but it's the best thing in the world. And if you have that itch, if you have a passion, then there is a purpose behind it. And just remember, if you don't get out there and start building your personal brand and putting yourself out there into the world, somebody else is going to do it and they're not going to do it as well as you. So look at it as your responsibility to put yourself out there and create the best jewelry or be the best CPA or the best video producer, or the best podcaster. Put that into motion. Those little wins create the momentum to the big wins. So, you remember, you win or you learn. We're not losing. We're not failing. You can pivot. All those things are okay, but follow your passion, lead it to purpose, and the profits will come.
Very cool. Now, let's talk about a little bit as we wrap up here. Who does JDS serve? What do you exactly do? I'd love to learn a little bit more about you guys.
Well, JDS Studio is our umbrella, which has a video production and multimedia solution company. We have an actor studio and we have a nonprofit. Everything we do is digital media, visual and performing arts. We have events and live theater. We have a TV show and we have a 3-day festival, summer camp programs. So, we work with our city. We work with big companies like Abbott Laboratories, making marketing and training videos, and also just creating pathways for mainstream and special needs, whether we're teaching them technical skills or soft skills or trying to show them how they can reach out beyond their comfort zone. My message is really the arts, because I truly believe that the arts level the playing field. They touch every industry. Businesses need more creativity to do their business, and creatives need a little bit more business to be able to be successful too. So that's really what we're all about. And, just being kind and helping, one person every day, the ripple effect will take effect.
Does cash flow have you down? Profit not where you think it should be? Maybe it's the long hours. Let's meet to see if I can help. I bridge driving the financial performance of your business to hit growth and success targets. Book a complimentary meeting at meetforgrowth.com to get started now. Once again, that's meetforgrowth.com. I look forward to talking with you. And thanks for listening to the show.
Just being kind and helping, one person every day, the ripple effect will take effect.
I like it. I like it a lot. So your website, jds-productions.com. I'll put that in the show notes at thinktyler.com. If people wanted to reach out to you, is that the spot to do it, or is there anywhere else?
Well, I'm all over social media, Diane Strand. There is a website, dianestrand.com, as well as hashtag JDS Family. You'll be able to find the TV shows, the festivals, the programs and camps, and, anybody, anywhere across America. I can help you bring the arts into your community. You can create something that I have already created, and I can give you a curriculum and show you the way. So if there's anything I can do to help you be more of a creativepreneur, I'm here for you.
Love it. Hey, thanks, Diane, for being on the show. You're an awesome guest. I super appreciate all your transparency and tips. So thanks again.
Thank you very much, Tyler. It's been a pleasure.
That's all for this episode of Think Business with Tyler. But we have plenty more resources to help you in your pursuit of business excellence on our website at thinktyler.com. If you'd like to be featured in a future episode of the show, feel free to reach out to us on social media at think_Tyler. We look forward to helping you think life, think success, and think business.